Call to order. We stand in the Wetland Watercourse Agency. Regular hearing, a regular meeting on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. The time is 6:31. There's no seating of the alternates. So the next item on our agenda is approval of minutes from our October 29th, 2025 regular meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes from October 29th, 2025.
I'll second yes.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve our meeting minutes. All those, any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, any abstentions? So moved minutes. Next item on the agenda, number 4, communications.
So in your, like, I gave you a little memo. One of the enforcement things that we had outstanding was the Lakeside Restaurant, the paving. And so I'd asked the owner to come in to give us an update on what he plans to do to remedy that. And you're here this evening, so if you want to come, can I have him just talk to you now so he doesn't have to sit through the rest of the day?
That's fine.
You want to come up and explain?
Yes. From here or yeah.
At the microphone so everybody can hear you online.
State your name for the record, please.
My name, sorry, how are you? My name is Isan Dedushai, and I run the Lakeside Bar and Grill. And I'm not happy I'm here because, to be honest with you, I didn't know that. I love the town, I love you guys, everyone, because nobody bothers me ever. And we try to do the best we can. But what happened with that paving, I never knew. It was like week before we did that. It was my friend sitting there say, "Why no paving?" So I have a guy who can do for you. I said, "Yeah, why? How much will cost it?" He did like $3,000. I said, "Oh shit, excuse me. Yes, that's perfect." And I said I could do it. The guy came, measured, say, "Okay, I'll do this Monday." And he came, and I didn't know at all that I need permit. And like, to be honest with you, like, and also it's a personal company. And we did a half when I got called. I never met you. I'm sorry, I never came because I feel bad to come. And even I have my wife who was sick for like 6-7 months, but I stopped it. She said, "I don't have somebody to send there, but can you send me a picture?" I sent you right away. Yes, I did everything I should supposed to do. I stopped the job. The owner, I called the owner, he's from North Haven or somewhere. It's a big company. He came, I said, I'm down. I stopped because I think town doesn't like, we need a permit. He came after 2 hours, 2.5 I believe it was like that. And I said, "Look," I didn't know. I said, "How we didn't know, like we need a permit?" He said, "Let me talk to her." And you talk to her for like 10-20 minutes, I believe. And yeah, he was just like, and I was like nervous. I didn't want to let him do the job. And then he said, "You know what? Yeah, we're going to fill up permit, application for permit." And I said, "That's what they want?" He said, "Yes." I said, "I went, okay." And then he said, "Because I have full of trucks with the asphalt here, and I don't know what to do." I said, "Okay, but did you show, like, you go to town?" He said, yeah, we're going to do. I never hear that before too. He said, too, "This is the first time in my life I have to deal with this." The guy said that. I think he talked to you for a long time too. I didn't know that I did that job, and since then, I'm having a little bit issue high because I know, I'm sorry, Juliet, yeah. You need to send us what we need to talk to my daughter because my daughter came and she didn't know what happened because even my family didn't know what happened, and somehow we tried to hire engineer to do the job, like what, because I think she gave us some recommendation to do it well, drive well. And we hired one of the guys. I think he called and said, "I'm not good in this. We need somebody better, the engineer." We tried at least 3 months to hire someone. And it's very hard. Like, I believe one of the lawyers from town, he says he's going to find me someone. I said, "Oh, please do it because we need, because town wants me to fix this problem." And didn't happen. And I decide I'm going to take asphalt because even I need it so bad, because, and it's not much, it's behind, I think it's like 3,000-4,000 square, I'm sorry, I never measured that. But it's beautiful, it's clean, how, most of you know better than me the place, because you've been before there. And it's mess there all the time. But I didn't, like I said again, I make mistake, and I want to take the asphalt. But then Juliet, I believe, told my son, like, you have to talk to land, to you guys, to have permit to take asphalt away now. And I say, okay, like, I don't know what else to do. To find these people look like it's very hard. Now, maybe you know better than me, because, like, engineers to find, it's been like 3-4 months. We're trying to hire someone. And also we put in East Haddon, some guys in East Haddon, they don't want to do that. Maybe some people are scared of me too, I don't know. But it's not easy. But for me, it's I'm gonna do, you have to give me whatever I can do, I'm gonna do. Maybe you give me a little bit more time, but I'm gonna take us all, I love to do it. Because also to go like too much, so many things, and it's not going to work again. It's not easy. It's not easy, this business. You have to all understand. I'm sorry, some people think, oh, we're doing very good, but it's not, it's hard, It's tough business. It's not like used to be anymore. There's no more much money. I'm trying to spend everything I have in that place. And a lot of like I love the place. I love the town. I love my family. I bought the property, like it was in bad shape. You didn't know, like you go to basement or you go on the roof or you didn't know what was there. But I fix everything, and I'm trying to fix again. And I want to be honest in this town for a long time. Also, my family want to be here. I don't want to have bad reputation. But I just wanted what is the best to do. And giving an idea, I'm going to try. I'm going to take us, I'll take it, please, but just, I don't know. It just, now.
File an application to remove the asphalt.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
Is either file an application to remove the asphalt or file an application.
And how that goes?
I mean, it's just get an application from the town and fill out the information. And you can you can remove it, you can even keep it, which I think the idea is that you put the asphalt in, you need to capture the rainwater from the asphalt, the first inch and a little bit more of rain to capture that and infiltrate on site. So, I'm not sure the layout of how it's laid out. I didn't seen it and looked at it, so I don't know.
I don't think there's room there.
So I mean, that's the thing. So if there's not room,
There's not room.
right? So then pulling it out is just a matter of filing an application to say you're gonna remove it, and it shouldn't be a complicated application.
No, we just have to figure out what your lot coverage is so that you get it down to what it's supposed to be, because you have a variance on file
That we should
to
just,
allow you up to, I think, 70% was it, or 60, I can't remember. I can't remember.
Okay, so
60 or 70,
basically,
so you gotta come down to that, so we
Because
just
they
need
put
somebody to
concrete
sort
down.
of calculate that out, because a
Outside.
lot of things have been
That
added.
needs to be.
But,
Perfect.
okay,
but I had asked you to get an engineer to figure out where the rainwater was going. See if it even was an issue, I mean, maybe it's not, I don't
it's
know.
not much, to
But,
be honest with
you
you,
know.
like, you all know, like, it's not much, because it's not big square, It's like, it's behind, it's not much. I could do myself drywall, we could do a big one and show you guys how to do, but this is like, I'll do like for a week, you want me to do, like, if, the old garage was, I don't know, somebody know here from, maybe and you've been there, I can do there.
There has to be calculations showing that the system would capture a certain amount of runoff that's coming off of, which is where the engineer comes into play. So that's the
Right.
piece that we need on file to show that you're
Because you're-
following the town rules.
Right,
That's it.
because you already have the maximum,
More than the maximum.
more than the maximum of impermeable surface. You need to show that you're either capturing the rainwater that's running off the new asphalt, or you need to file a permit to remove the asphalt.
so let me step back real quick. He has a permit or a variance for more than what's allowed in normally in a lot his
Yeah.
size.
From a little while
And
ago.
it's right on the
And
way.
so is he in compliance with that, or is he out of compliance with that? That's the first question. That's not, and
Right
that's,
now, it'd be way out of control.
so that's really not our purview, right? I mean, we're with, so
Yeah.
that's a planning and zoning
But it's
question.
still
So-
runoff that's not being captured.
Regardless is that, then the next question is, beyond what he already had, what you already had on the site, how much more did he add? Because that's, what he had was approved, but we approved, at some point we approved some activity. Maybe, but at least what he's added in since the variance was granted and any pavement went in, we need to know that. So I think there's a bit of investigation, and I don't know if you've done it, of where's his variance and and how much, not the where's his variance, that's planning and zoning, but really where is he added pavement on top of what he already had, since he got his last permit, since you got your last permit. So.
Yeah, I mean, I had him start here in case your reaction was, forget it, get the pavement out of there. Then there's no point in me going through a modified site plan with engineering for drainage and all of that on the
Right.
planning and zoning side. Where there is a notice of violation on that side too.
I think,
So I needed him to explain to you and go over. If you are all right with him keeping the asphalt potentially, if he could capture everything and get the appropriate variance. Then I'd send him down that path.
I think that the. Was that?
I would agree with Juliet as far as. You could cause more damage removing it. And getting it down to the subgrade of what the impervious material that was there. I don't know what they did. But when they came in to pave, they might have removed some gravel, they might have added gravel, I don't know.
No,
But
It was just a dirt, it was just a dirt. like,
there was nothing there,
with a
yeah.
little bit of stone on it. It really wasn't anything. There was no gravel covering it or anything
No,
like
we're
that.
parking there, yeah, it was nothing.
I would agree with Juliet, if he can hire an engineer. Tell us where the runoff is going, if it's being captured. In the existing parking lot. Drainage, I mean, that's all.
I think it's really, his two options are hire an engineer and determine how much, where it's being captured and that kind of stuff. And I have a hard time.
I would like to help, if somebody know, like, I don't mind, I don't mind paying it all, but I just need to find it, because to me, it's been.
So it's either you hire an engineer or you just file an application to remove the permit, and that's that.
What is the, I say, what's the easy, and Juliet maybe knows better, like, I'll do whatever you want me to do. If you find someone, engineer, I'll do it, even I'll check, I'll be so happy to do that. But somehow, I don't know why, like, we can find someone, I'm also new here, I'm in East Haddon for 20 years, but I never deal with this kind of problems,
Yeah.
But, I would love to do that, but also, if he does that, I definitely wanna take it away, because I just, do a bit too much, I don't wanna have, bother you guys, and also.
The easiest course of action is to just pull it out, just file an application for removal.
Yeah.
And that's it, and then you can replace it with crushed stone.
Okay,
To park fight, and then, or something like that, something that's permeable, and then that's that. If
Okay.
you find that you need it, then you have to come back for an application for that.
Parking, I need so bad, I'm going parking. I need parking more than ever, because, some of you guys know that's the biggest problem there,
Yeah.
it's just parking, because.
I mean, that's another issue because
Yeah.
you really can't park up there properly. That wouldn't pass planning and zoning. It wasn't a parking area. You don't have enough.
No, we can make enough room, sorry. Yeah, we can do, so. Yeah, we
So
just
it's
can
not
put
right
those
now.
big, just the walls a little bit more, that's not the issue, that's not the problem you wanna do, but also like workers could park there, it's not a big deal. Like we can, if you use for somebody, just,
I think the best thing to do is take it out.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that's gonna be your easiest, if you're having a hard time finding an engineer.
no, big time, I'm telling you, like, it's been like 3-4 months, when we hire one, they try, I think he talked to her and he didn't wanna take the job.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah, he says he's going to find someone stronger, he didn't, never responds,
Yeah.
They're like, some few contractors are trying to hire, to
Yeah.
find someone, yeah,
Okay. So,
okay.
so,
So you'd have to file a wetlands permit to show the area you're now taking
Well, then I
out.
have to come to you or to them.
you work with
File it
them,
with me,
you work
I
with
think.
them to file it, and you'll come back here.
Yeah.
Hopefully next month, and then.
To present it.
Okay.
We'll go through the
Thank
process.
you so much.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sorry, I say,
Sorry.
not because I know, I just didn't, I didn't know that, like, I just never knew that I need.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Good to see you. Thank you.
All right, so,
And then the other bit, the POCD update, I'm gonna just tell you now. And so I had asked that we look at any goals that were in the 2016 POCD that might be related to wetlands, and I attached and highlighted the few that, kind of related to you. You know, one of the things we talked about, I don't know if it was here or at a PSCD meeting, probably here, but talking about non-disturbance areas as a potential goal in the POCD to change the wetlands regulations to add something about like a 25-foot non-disturbance area around certain
Oh,
water courses or every wetland, you know, that
sort of,
if you wanted to add a layer of protection to wetlands, that is one tool you could use that you aren't utilizing now.
okay,
But if there are other, that was just my idea, or when it came up with the 30 lot crossing thing.
yeah, I mean, it was interestingly enough, I was actually, when I was at Cacuit Saturday, it came up about the riparian buffers initiative they're trying to work through. And I think that they were talking about how many towns have a riparian buffer, in other words, of the set, no disturbance area, around them. And basically only 4 towns in the state have it, and they're going through this whole thing.
24?
Only 4,
Wow.
yeah, but, you know, it's sort of this whole thing of, of what does it mean, how wide is it, what's important, that kind of stuff, and so. There is a group at the state level that's working on developing certain guidance, at that one, in that type of arena. So they're trying to figure that out. If we wanted to have a discussion about having a no disturb riparian buffer, we can have a discussion and they see if we want to proceed with that, but
Yeah, I mean, it could be a consideration, a potential goal,
right,
but that's just one thing, but if there's something else that you want to consider, now is the time to, let me know so I can get it in there and we can have a discussion about it, but we will have an opportunity to talk about, conservation in general and open space. When I do this sort of targeted discussions, that's what's coming up next after the survey sort of is out there floating around. We'll have these discussions on economic development, housing, but open space and conservation is one of those topics that I'd hope either you all help me host with the Conservation Lake Commission potentially, pick. I was even thinking if agendas were light in the winter time that we could just pick a meeting night and sort of have the discussion then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep,
Well,
fine.
Yeah.
something like that, so you don't have to come around a second time, but you can battle it out with Conservation Lake Commission as to which night that would be, but but I wanted you guys to participate in that and for that commission also to participate in that, so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get to those in the winter and go from there, but in the meantime, if you want question, and the other thing is if you want particular questions to include in the survey, I mean, you might wanna ask a question about a riparian 25-foot zone or something like that to test the water, but or some other idea that you may have, we can put it into the survey.
it is right, okay.
So I would need your survey questions, quickly. Cause I've gotta get it to town council apparently they approve all surveys.
Okay, there.
Okay,
So I'm running out of time in that department, so if you do have something you want me to improve, let me know soon.
I think there was, I think what you had highlighted here, I looked over this previously, where I would just, include underwater quality protections 1, 2, and 7 as well. I think those,
7, okay, yeah.
and then number 2 under the open space preservation. So I think it's just generally open space.
Yeah, I figured out.
So those were the ones I noticed that would be,
Yeah, I mean, they all seem pretty relevant to me still.
yeah, they're relevant, but
We just have to figure out why some of these goals maybe weren't implemented or.
right.
yeah, I love number 6.
What's that?
I love number 6.
Living, clearing, grading, minimize impact.
Would be lovely if there was something that we could delineate between timber harvesting as farming
That's where
and clear cutting, which is just stripping acreage, which messes up everything.
Yeah, that's an issue.
And particularly when it's tied to a development that happens in a time frame after, like,
I know.
that time
Something
flow.
where we
seems a
could
little off.
make a clear line between one which is
Mhm.
good for the forest, well, you know.
Mhm.
And doesn't disturb habitat and runoff to completely coming in and wiping out every living thing in sight.
With the plan of.
That's
putting a
not
building there.
necessarily timber harvesting.
Mhm.
So it would be, I would like to see something that there's a delineation between the
Yeah,
two.
I mean, there's, right, because it becomes a question of. Tree removal,
Yeah,
and then when does tree removal become timber harvest, and when does timber harvest become clear
clear
cutting?
cutting,
Mhm.
Right, so I think,
because clear cutting takes out the shrubs, it just takes out everything.
And usually is paired with grading or grubbing to get things level.
Right,
right, that's the other level, then it becomes, then there's step beyond just clear cutting,
Right.
now you're.
So this is something that I would really like to see.
The excavation grading, and, you know, there is an opportunity to get regulations in about what could potentially disturb, you know, like steep slopes or, you know.
Cause if you're
certain
timber
areas.
harvesting, hypothetically, you're leaving the roots
Right,
intact and then erosion wouldn't be an issue. But if development's the goal, then you're gonna grub right after to get
Right,
those
so-
out of there.
Right, and then
it
all of a
opens it
sudden,
up.
water just going everywhere,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
And I know there are plenty of legal cases about tree harvesting, clear cutting, et cetera, and I'm not sure,
Love you to find us out, because I talked to the guy from the state for probably an hour,
yeah,
and he was not very encouraging.
no, okay.
well, maybe we need to
Because
talk
it's
to
kind of
our,
written at a state
our
level in a
representative.
gray area purposely, is what I got from him when I was talking to
Well,
him.
basically, they can clear cut, but theoretically, yeah, the stumps would be in place.
Mhm.
Right,
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Cause you pretty much in development, they're supposed to put in detention ponds and everything.
Right.
But that's after the fact,
right.
as far as what you're
Plus,
saying.
and plus, if you clear cut and then
So
you
you
start,
start,
And there's no benefit to, like, if you're harvesting, there's no benefit to spending money getting the roots out. That's an expensive
Right.
process.
Right.
And it doesn't support the agricultural of timber harvest at all.
correct,
I mean,
Yeah.
and even if you're clear cutting, a lot of times you'll leave the slash in place.
Mhm.
And
Right.
that creates what's lost.
as a ground
by
cover.
habitat, it's habitat.
For nutrient cycling.
yeah, but also make sure that there's not so much runoff and, you know, you're not losing all of your topsoil and everything where, you know, you're seeing with taking everything is just making a mess.
So I think,
And then if you're processing materials on top of it, it's just, you know, it's a real environmental impact. I'd like to see somewhere where we can,
And we have some of those regs, whether or not they've been enforced over the years, is.
I'd like to see something about that.
yeah, and I think we need I think it may require a little going back to our regs and seeing. Where are regs?
I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean, as statewise, can we
Yeah, even implement,
implement anything that won't be having us sued?
because it's undermined
Right,
some kind of.
Right, but maybe if we could talk to our representatives even, I don't know, but there should be a way to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, we might have to get the guy from the States to just come in and have a
Yeah.
session with us, but I mean, there are tools in zoning to limit the amount of lot coverage, there are lot disturbance, or grading or clearing. I mean, we can do that, or that you can't disturb steep slopes.
But if timber harvesting is as of right and somebody buys 30 acres and then just strips
But
it,
then they wouldn't be able to come in and take those roots out, and that would be
Right.
pretty stupid, so. You know, they might wanna think if we had those solid regs in place.
Right.
That says,
Mhm.
okay, you can build your house, but you still can't take the stumps in this area, or
Mhm.
right,
still have to preserve. 30% of the
Right.
property,
Or
whatever,
coverage on a certain,
Right.
slopes.
that they
Right.
think twice about taking the trees there.
Mhm.
if we could just do something, that would be on my list.
Yeah. I'd agree.
Okay,
All right,
We'll definitely, I just added it, we'll definitely bring that up as a topic during that open space conservation discussion.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
so. Then we'll roll into enforcements and see this.
And then, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, we had that.
Just did that already.
That was sort of the same. So next item on the agenda, well, we will open the floor for public comments. We do ask that public comments be made brief and not relate to any agenda items. If you have a comment, please step to the microphone or raise your hand online, and state your name. Right. We have none. You have another opportunity if you hang in. Any agent approvals? No. Number item 6, public hearings. The first is IW 25029. Belltown 30 LLC, 30 Long Crossing and 201 West High Street. Drill 3 test wells for future community water system in wetlands and upland review area, map 12, block 36, lot 39. The public hearing was opened on September 24th, was continued to October 29th, and continued again till today. I don't know, is there,
Are
I see
we,
an extension for the next item on the agenda, but we don't have one for.
Now, we have, so Rob's here tonight, I mean, like I said in my memo here. The last map we got was basically at your last meeting, and then Josh, you had asked for information about discharge location for tailings, test water. Whether or not they were gonna monitor the water level in the streams or wetlands, and wanted some clarification on the sort of field testing process. I wanted their DEP form updated. And then, you know, the whole Chatham Health discussion, Chatham still felt it was out of their jurisdiction. But they haven't gotten anything else to review, so. I mean,
Chatham Health thinks it's out of their jurisdiction.
well, so remember, the original plan didn't say test well, right? It just said well, and it would be a community water system, which would be state.
Right.
They did provide you with comments about the proposal.
Yeah.
But, so I'm not sure if now that it says test wells, if maybe Rob's heard something that I haven't, but, I'm not sure that they haven't sent us anything else, so I'm not sure where we stand with that.
All right.
But I think
Still
Rob
in
has some.
limbo on this one? We're still in like a limbo on this?
Well,
Rob is here.
Rob, Baltimore is here, I assume.
Oh, I
he's
didn't-
gonna be speaking on.
Rob.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. So for your record, Rob Ultramitis, professional engineer for the applicant, Belltown 30. So let me start. So I had a conversation with John Simon. John's a professional engineer with hydrodynamic engineering. He would be the one installing and doing the work with these test wells. And asking him, he absolutely is subject to a permit. My understanding was that permit would have to be through Chatham Health. If the local health department defers it, kicks it, then it would go to the state of Connecticut DPH. But John was of the opinion that he absolutely needed a permit for this work with the test wells, but it would be with Chatham Health. So it sounds like some additional discussion needs to happen with them to ensure that they're the right agency to issue a permit. But I can assure you it requires a permit. So if I could just pick up where we left off, Mr. Chairman. So I also had very similar notes to what Juliet had just recapped for us. First, as a piece of housekeeping, we discussed last week, we have revised the application in that DEEP statewide activity reporting form to also include 201 West High Street with this address of 30 Long Crossing. Because some of the test well activity is in that appendage piece that belongs to 201. So again, for housekeeping purposes, we've corrected the application on file at the land use office. Just as a general reminder, last month. The plan revisions that you saw then, there was some significant improvements. We had pulled the wells out of the wetlands, I think to, some great relief to this commission. Not only are the test wells pulled out of the wetlands, but the installation and the activity fully respects the 25-foot buffer to the wetland limits that was established as part of the 7-lot commercial subdivision. So we're able to, again, wholly respect that 25-foot buffer to the wetlands with this activity for test wells. So again, I did take notes last month, and I do have some new information for the commission. Again, I had the opportunity to talk with John Simon, the engineer who would be performing the work, to There was one question about, why 3 wells? In discussing that with John, it could be a single well point. They feel the triangular is better. If these should ever go online as a permanent community well system, it would have less drawdown effect on the water table at one point. You'd also have redundancy in pumps and pump motors. So that was the reason for the 3. The commission had a question about the duration of the testing, like how long would these run to do the test? The duration is 3 days. And there was a question about discharge rate, and the peak flow that they would be looking to achieve is about 50 gallons per minute. John did not feel there was a reason to monitor with such a short duration. There would be no effect on the wetlands or the groundwater table for this testing over the occurrence of 3 days. But the process itself is monitored. There's certainly personnel on site, but they also set up electronic monitoring to measure the pump rate as well as the water levels. Another question that the commission had was regarding the discharge location. This turns out this is a no-brainer. This is, we'll take this clean water and discharge it into an adjacent stormwater detention basin that's constructed for the development itself. That way, flows are ultimately controlled by the outlet control structure that's there. And again, it's clean water, it's groundwater, and that'll ultimately be discharged once passing through the outlet control structure to an outlet with riprap protection. So you really probably couldn't ask for a better discharge setup. And then just one final note, just a reminder that all of this activity, the well drilling, the activity, for the monitoring, it's entirely in an area that's already been disturbed by the development. There's no additional clearing or grading required for the activity in this application. So that's kind of brief and concise, but those are the notes that I had for information that the commission was looking for coming out of your October meeting.
A couple things I want clarification on, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You talked about the test water, but what about the tailings from the drilling process as well? How is that handled? How is the site protected from those tailings?
So there is on the plan a dewatering area that is shown for the tailings. And the tailings, as they're drying, they'll actually be moved further up the site, out of the wetland buffer, the upland review area, and allowed to dry on site.
Where is
So maybe I can ask Cheryl to call up the plan, please.
that was called out as proposed settling basin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. While she's pulling that up, just to confirm that, you said 50 gallons per minute. Was that per well or total across all 3?
That is definitely total.
So it's a 3-day pump test, you said?
That's correct.
Will they be deploying any water level sensors in Pine Brook, upstream and downstream of the wells, to confirm their assumption that it's not going to have any impact on the surface water?
No, it's not proposed as part of this activity. It's something the commission could impose. I agree with John Simon. I don't think there is an impact to the wetlands, to the brook over a 3-day testing period. I think if this became an application where this was a community well that was going to go into effect, I think that is absolutely appropriate at that time. But for a 3-day duration, I just don't feel that it's required.
Wait, let's just see if there's anything else. Anybody have any other comments, questions that they want to ask?
Rob, did you wanna update the DEP form? Or did you and I didn't see it?
Yeah, no, I believe we did that. Maybe Cheryl can. I think she was working with Donna from Wayne's office. I think Donna came in to do that.
She updated 45 Long Crossing. I don't believe the disturbance totals were updated on the deal.
Okay, I will ensure that that is done.
Because you're not in the wetlands anymore, so there shouldn't be anything listed under. wetlands.
Right. Yeah, the direct activity should be 0. Yes.
This is still in the upland review area though, right?
Yeah, it's just outside of the 25-foot
Right.
buffer.
I'm still concerned about. Even I can see testing wells will not disturb the water table and may not affect Pine Brook. But seeing this is such a large wetland area and Pine Brook is very important. How do we determine that a community well is not going to affect the wetlands and Pine Brook?
Well, let's say that we're not approving a community well, we're approving the test wells.
Yeah.
So we have to
Yes,
accept this at its face value, not what we think it's going to.
I see.
Just so I don't mean to, what's that?
You'll get another crack at
Right,
it.
I don't mean to
Okay.
stop you saying what you want, whatever you want to say, just as long
Right.
as you have that, keep that in mind.
Okay,
So that's all. I'm not trying to shake
I'm quite right, I don't want to step outside the lines. It just, it's concerning.
I agree. I think that it is. Well, I think it is probably unlikely that these wells drawing 50 gallons per minute for over the course of 3 days. I mean, I was just gonna do the math. I mean, maybe you have it, Rob. What is that in cubic feet per second?
I could do that calc for you. But what I was calculating, and again, to your point, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with you. I mean, this is not a community well. It cannot be without your approval down the road for that. So actually, so I won't even get into that. But that is certainly an application. If this turns into, hey, we're changing our plan for the site, and this is going to be a community well. We come back to you. We're going to have to do a lot of studying on those wetlands in Pine Brook. So I just wanted to concur with your statement that this is a 3-day operation. I don't anticipate, Mr. Simon doesn't anticipate there'd be any negative effect on the wetlands or Pine Brook. If you give me some moments, I will certainly try to quickly convert your 50 gallon per minute to cubic feet per second, but it's going to be very, very small. Very small. So 50 gallons per minute. Obviously less than 1 gallon per second, and essentially divide that by 8. So we're talking very small, like 1/10 of a cubic foot per second.
I mean, that's
It's
yeah.
almost insignificant, and certainly well below the threshold of the what is an approved discharge for these detention basins here. Yes.
Well, it's less the discharge and more the Pine Brook and the flows in Pine Brook. And I think that,
Yeah, fair. That's
I
okay.
mean, I don't know well, you did the math for the stormwater. What's the discharge of Pine Brook from your site? In your stormwater calcs, you had done that with this previous application. You just dust
Yes.
that off.
Yeah, I would have to dust. I would have to dust that report off. But I remember this. You know, this section of Pine Brook being in basically 1,000-acre watershed. You know, depending on the type of rainfall event, you know, you're looking at 50 to 100 and more cubic feet per second. So this is, you know, this withdrawal rate is a tenth of a cubic feet per second. I mean, it's insignificant compared to the Pine Brook flow.
Yeah, I think if, you know, this was a sustained withdrawal. You know, I think that could, we would want to know if there's a depression in the water, you know, in the water level. I think for a 3 foot, for a 3 day withdrawal. I can't imagine that a blip on, if you were measuring, this is not just thinking this through, if you're measuring the water, you know, water flow in the stream, upstream and downstream of the site, a blip in the flow could be due to this, or it could be due to something else. And so,
Well, the other thing, if I can, Mr. Chairman, the other thing to point out is what we're withdrawing for the test, we're putting right back into the wetland and ultimately the brook. You know, so this isn't even a withdrawal where, you know, you actually have a diversion where you're using the water as a community well and discharging it into, say, a sanitary source system, and you're losing it from the groundwater. You know, with this application, this water is going right back to its source, essentially.
Right.
Rob, do you have, for test wells, what's the depth they go? You know?
So
Or you get, the flow you want?
just looking at some notes because I believe I testified to that before, because that was a question that I had already gotten information from Mr. Simer regarding the you know, the casing size, which is standard. It was 6 inch, and I believe the anticipated depths you know, was in the 300-foot range.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
Anybody has any other, I'm sorry, questions?
No.
I don't know. Public
Concerns with them? No, no. Discharge and stuff.
So I'll open up the floor to public comments. As your comments relate to the project itself, and that it's they are also related to wetland issues and not necessarily to any other issues that might be seen before planning and zoning, traffic, or constructability, or those types of things. So I'll open it there. Maybe you want to speak. Yeah, step up and state your name for the record, please.
Leonard Johnson, 21 Long Crossing Road. I understand the 3 day test. However, will it be 8 hours a day or 24 hours a day?
Question.
And secondly, they don't test while they're drilling. Right, they drill the wells, they drop the pumps in, and then they measure the output. Is that right?
I'll I'll take your questions.
Okay,
Is that,
yes,
Okay.
that's it.
and I'll defer them to the applicant. So I think the question is a pumping, Rob, is it 24 hours a day? Is it continuous? So 72 hours?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chairman. So, in response to Mr. Johnson's questions, the first one, it is a continuous test. So it is 24 hours, over 3 days or 72 consecutive. And the wells will be drilled to the depth and the pumps installed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other question? Yes, please. So,
Can I talk about wells in our area? Is that?
not. Not really, no. I mean, you can.
How can I not be?
Yeah, you could.
I'll give you latitude. I mean, I think but I think it has to go back to what are the impacts on the wetlands or water courses.
Linda Johnson, 21 Long Crossing Road. We're just concerned about how these 3 wells will affect the wells in the neighborhood. Several homes already have problems with water supply. Our son lives at 9 Long Crossing Road and he gets 6 gallons of water an hour. He happens to live near the other community well that services 195 and 201. There are other wells in the neighborhood that are 600 feet and one is almost 700 feet. It's just a few feet short of 700 feet deep and these people still run out of water. We have 2 wells on our property and our next door neighbor has 3. Multiple wells were drilled to obtain sufficient water. Our well is probably less than 400 feet from this community well and we're okay now, but we're very conservative with the water. Maybe the groundwater isn't your concern, but it certainly is ours. And will the people be notified ahead of time that this 72-hour period ahead of time so that we know, what's going on?
So I'll let Robbie answer the notification question, but I think if you're concerned about wells is pumping near you and around you is well founded. It's not something we control. I think that's a question that you would want to follow up with Chatham Health District or the state Department of Public Health water company, and then planning and zoning as well. I think would have has a little bit more oversight on that as well. Fortunately, it's water. I agree, it's water, but it's not water that's at the surface, and we can't regulate that. So, Rob, what about the question was, is there any notification as to when you're drilling? You'll know when they're drilling, but when you plan to do the pumping, will you notify the residents?
So as certainly there isn't a a standard or requirement that the notice be given, but this commission could certainly require that, as could Chatham Health or DPH in their permit. I mean, I will speak for the applicant and say that we will provide notice to some of the how far do we go, Mr. Chairman? I think to the point with the Johnson's proximity. I think the residents that basically front along 30 Long Crossing, I think it'd be fair enough to just, give them some type of written notice as to when the testing is going to start. I think that's fair and reasonable.
I think that's very reasonable, and word of mouth will spread when they get that notice.
Might even make Facebook, Mr. Chairman.
It might be the case.
So I have a clarifying question. So aquifers, because they're subsurface, are outside of this, even though some of the activity that can impact hypothetically both, but that's not something that we look at specifically for this.
So I think that yes and no. I think it's right. I mean, right, because the reason we were talking about the groundwater and whether or not how much volume they're pulling out, right, there's a question of, is that aquifer connected to the surface water? So if it's an aquifer that's basically buried and runs, miles away and never actually discharges to the surface, then that's really not our purview. Now, if but if it's a local aquifer and it's discharging to local streams and stuff, it's either feeding or being fed by streams, then that's
Now,
an
do
important.
we know where this particular,
We don't, that's the thing,
Okay.
is so I think that's why
Sure.
the question comes up of, do we think it's necessary to test, to monitor the surface water while they're doing a 72-hour pump test, and I think, I think that it probably, given the duration and the amount they're gonna pump, it doesn't really, it's not a significant amount at this point, that's why I think, but I think you're right.
but hypothetically, if there was an impact, then you could tell those were connected.
Correct, yes,
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Good evening, Mark Hutchinson, 3 Albans Crossing. My well is 600 feet deep. I get a little bit more than a quarter gallon a minute. So these 3 test wells, when they are dug, if something happens to our wells in the neighborhood, what is our recourse? I know it's not your purview.
Yeah.
And trust me, I'm just saying, somebody's gotta have an answer, you know, and it might not be you folks, but it's here, it's on record now that we're asking. Because it's gonna turn into a big problem if everybody's or certain people's wells go dry.
I mean,
Thank you.
yes. I think it is not for a review, but I encourage you to reach out to, planning and zoning, might have heard you of this.
I mean, it's a little. We don't really know what the process is, so these are test wells, but I'm not sure what happens if. They decide that they're gonna be permanent wells, like what is the permitting process if that's done by the state? Does it come back to planning and zoning if they're not coming back with the actual development yet? I don't know.
Putting the cart before the horse.
I suppose we could say it's a revision of 201 West High Street's site plan.
Yeah.
Look at it that way, but I don't know. I haven't thought that one.
Is there if you go to a public, file for a,
Like public utility installation is a use in planning and zoning, but. Like for a structure, like a.
right, I think there's. I mean,
Substation or something like that.
yeah, I think. What would be the next, if we take Rob, if we take the next step to the next process. What is the next opportunity we would be able to see this application? Do you have to run another pump test, a longer duration pump test later?
Well, I think that the next step would be, depending on what these results are, the applicant, the landowner may consider, something different with 30 Long Crossing, other than what's approved, which is a 7-lot commercial subdivision with relatively small buildings, individual wells, individual, on-site septic systems, etc. So you would see it in planning and zoning, you would see it with a land use application. And that would certainly be the appropriate time, for the studies, for potential impacts to wetlands, to Pine Brook, as well as adjacent domestic wells in the area. That's the appropriate time. That's the avenue. That will be your crack at it too, because it would be different activity if it gets to that point within the regulated area. So this commission would see it as well. So.
All right. So I think for the public standpoint, I think it's the planning zoning, but also I think that following up with Chat and Help or the public Department of Public.
Right. So I think, from a planning and zoning standpoint, if there was a development application for this property, again, differing from what's approved with a community well, that triggers a lot of reviews and studies, because that community well is now going to not just Chatham Health, that's going to go to Connecticut DEP's drinking water section. It triggers a lot of reviews, if you will. So again, very important. And I know, Mr. Chairman, you recognize these are test wells. This is a 3-day test period. That's what they're labeled for. This is not a community well system. This application is strictly to test. And, from what I'm hearing from the neighbors, if these yield tests are not to the applicant's liking, maybe nothing goes forward ever, other than what's approved here. I don't know that. It's one of the reasons for the testing.
None of us know
I mean, that's
Yeah, right.
why they're test wells.
Right, right, so we don't want to get putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
So beyond the quote unquote test wells, once they get their answers, obviously us and the public are gonna know more. I mean,
Right.
that's basically what it comes down to. Maybe they get a trickle out of it, you know. I know my well is 1,000 feet. I'm taking it from Salmon River.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't wanna say that in front of anyone, but that's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So I know your feeling.
yeah. Yeah, I do too. I mean, I'm in the same vicinity as Spice Hill, right? So, and so they draw a lot of water. I don't know if anybody's been to Spice Hill, but, I do also sympathize with that. And I think when they fracked their wells at one point, I think it affected a lot of our neighbors.
Yeah.
Well, so I think the applicant recognizes that, and I think the engineer recognizes that too. So, so I think that there's reasonable concern, but I would say, you're welcome back here to listen. We'll do the best we can on our part, and I think the applicant will cooperate to the best that they can. Right.
We appreciate that.
Thank you for coming out. We appreciate that too. Any other comments or questions? Any online? See me. My monitor is not working, so I keep looking over there.
Nope,
Actually,
I don't see any hands, no hands.
Okay. So do we think we have enough information? Close the public hearing. There's no outstanding information, right?
Same, I mean, more. Yeah, I got your.
Right. I'll entertain a motion. Let's close the public hearing then.
Oh, I move that we close the public hearing for IW 25-029. Belltown LLC.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Motion's made and seconded to close the public hearing. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved, yes. Okay. At this point, I think we can, if we want to discuss anything about the application, or we can change a motion. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts about what was presented. Any concerns?
Well, I suppose we can't really do anything until they drill the test wells.
That's true.
Yeah, well, then I move that we approve. Item IW 25-029 Belltown LLC 31 Crossing. As test wells drilling will have no significant impact on the wetlands.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the application. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? So moved, unanimous. Okay. And Rob, I see you. That was the last one, right? Well, you continue.
We're gonna continue.
So, our next application is IW 25030 Taylor Rand, 45 Longfield Road. Three lots residential subdivision in wetlands up in review area, map 06, block 12, lot 7A. And map 6, block 12, lot 7B. Public hearing opened on 9/24/2025, continued to 10/29/2025, and continued again until 11/19/2025. And what I have in front of me is a letter from Mr. Baltramitis, basically granting an extension for the public hearing of IW 25030 to the next regularly scheduled meeting. So I think, I'll move that we continue this to the next regularly scheduled.
You can accept the extension, you can not accept
Yeah,
it.
we'll accept the extension and continue this to the next regularly scheduled meeting. So that's my motion.
That's, on
On,
December
when is that?
Yeah, so you're gonna continue the public hearing to December 17th at 6:30 PM at the town.
So, so motion to continue the public hearing of IW 25030 to December 17th. At
Yeah, that's
On December 17th.
December 17th at 6:30 PM at Town Hall.
Mr. Chairman, would you mind if I?
Wait a second, Rob. I need a
Sure.
second.
that.
Thank you. All right, what is it, Rob?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. So I did intend on giving a presentation of where we are and some of the changes. But yes, we're absolutely continuing this. Again, for your record, Rob Ultramite, professional engineer for the applicant, Taylor Rand. I think one of the things we ran into here is there were only 3 weeks between your meeting, given the holiday. So while I was optimistic to be able, when we received Matt Davison's report at the end of October, I was optimistic that we could have everything resolved before this meeting. That might have been too lofty a goal. And then to of course, compound that, Mr. Snarsky was our professional soil scientist was unavailable this evening. So yes, we did submit a letter consenting to an extent. If you grant that, that should give us sufficient time to work with your third-party review with our professional to address any of the final comments that your third party and staff has. So I appreciate that. I appreciate being able to just say a couple words.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Rob. Motion's made and seconded to continue the hearing. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions, so moved unanimous. Okay. Thanks, Rob.
Hey, thank you very much, everybody, and I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Next item on the agenda is 7 old business, which there is none. Item 8 on the agenda is new business. Anybody have any new business they would like to add to the agenda?
No,
No. I'd like to add one thing is that the new business that just conferences. I think you went to some.
we went to training, a clear training,
Clear training.
and Adam
Okay.
Saturday. It was, the stuff on affordable housing was very interesting, enlightening.
Yeah. Is it?
It's, the bill is a little,
Was that the new bill the state?
the new bill, yeah, well, it's not signed yet.
Did they talk about how it impacts wetlands?
Yeah,
They did.
yeah, and, so it was very enlightening, yeah.
Who spoke?
The 3 lawyers from the same, I can't think of it.
Howard.
Yeah, from Howard,
Howard,
Sage,
Howard
yeah,
Sage.
yeah, so they were pretty good, yeah.
Okay.
Also, there was a great bit on bias,
Hmm.
which was very interesting. What was the other one? You were there.
You were the one taking
Wasn't he
notes.
getting the coffee?
You were.
Coffee.
Okay.
It was also quite good. So it was enjoyable. It was worth the time to go. I would do it again. Anything that they'll send my way, I will sit and listen.
Good.
So what about yours?
And Cacuic was good too. There was some interesting stuff about also attended one of the legal ones, and they talked about some of the stuff. One of the things they brought up was in complex cases, how we have the complex application fee, right? Where we can hire a consultants to as for experts testimony. One of the things they recommended is also including making sure the language allows you to hire attorneys under that same fee. And so I think that, and then that,
Usually it does mean that, but we do specify that in planning and zoning.
yeah, so I think, but I think ours is generic enough that it's an expert. So I think we could do
could add
attorney as an
attorney.
Yeah,
attorney.
we should add attorney. 'Cause
So I think if
Yeah.
not, then maybe
expert doesn't typically,
Right.
Mean a lawyer.
they're not an expert in law.
well, I know, but it would be expert
The expert
related to
is
your.
sort of a
Inland
broad
wetlands,
term.
Like I
Yeah.
would count it as a.
You never count as an expert.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying
But you
I would
can't-
count.
But you can't present at your own.
I'm checking that.
See, we learned about that on Saturday.
You're right.
You're talking about.
Oh, meetings, how to hold a
Like
meeting,
attorney.
how to deal with unruly
Janet Brooks.
people.
Oh.
It was really interesting.
Yeah, that
Like,
would have been a
he
good.
said, there have been small town in Morris, they had to, in a P and Z meeting, they had to adjourn the meeting and call the police
Oh,
to get unruly residents out of the meeting room. So it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, and we went to a little bit of Roberts, you know, so it was good. It was enjoyable.
Good.
It's something new, to you know,
You learn.
sponge.
I went to that
It is
meeting.
good to learn. I really liked it.
There's the one day at Earth Tones where they did the wetlands delineation.
Oh,
Oh, was
That
there,
was,
I'd like to
for
have done
cause.
that.
Yeah, for God, yeah.
But I wanna do the next Kikiwick, whatever it's called.
Okay. Which my daughter makes fun of.
It's kind of a funny, name, but I'd like to know more about that.
Hmm?
I'd like to know more
Yeah,
about that. Yeah, that was,
That was good.
yeah,
And then.
that would be good.
But there was also, yeah, there was talk about making sure the attorney and then, for complex applications and then. Which made me think that if we have any complex applications coming up, we should keep that in mind.
We do have some.
So,
Mhm.
Yeah, especially,
yeah, so,
you will, I mean, for certain types of housing applications, the attorneys are on board
right. I
immediately,
mean,
so.
my concern is that, and I look back, when they said that, I look back at all the projects and we've seen that. That we've had attorneys standing in front of us and telling us what is right and what is wrong and,
Yeah.
you know, what's legal.
We
and what's
aren't
not.
attorneys.
And it would be
So
nice
we're
to
not-
have our
we're not
own
doing
attorney to
anything.
double check that instead of relying on the applicant's attorney to tell us what
Right.
is right or wrong.
And
Me
to
as-
remind Julia that she's not on the commission.
Yeah, me as a wetland scientist and a soil scientist, I can represent enough for,
Right.
but I think when the law stuff comes up, it's. you know,
That's what we got
Agreed.
Dean for.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
He's not here tonight.
But then again, he cannot be the expert
No.
on his own commission. So,
No, he can be an
I'll
expert
verify.
on the commission,
yes,
on his own property.
probably, well, he can't. He'll provide testimony to us
It wouldn't be like a third
Expert
party.
testimony.
Yeah, expert testimony.
because it's his.
He would be speaking as a commissioner.
Oh, yes.
No, even if he
Or-
wasn't speaking of a commissioner, it's really not to be done.
Um,
So I thought we learned that.
Wait. As a commissioner, I can't speak as a wetland scientist for public.
As long as you do it within your purview as a commissioner, but you cannot do it for somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I was gonna say, you
Yeah.
can't say, for the record, I'm a
Because you're
licensed
the,
soil
because you're,
scientist.
you're a soil-
Right, so, yes, okay, all right, that makes sense. Yeah, was the workshop.
Oh, it was really helpful to see the process and, you know, it's a lot of newer professionals, a lot of inland wetland commissioners and just going through and how to take the soil samples, where to take the soil samples, what to look for, what maps you're cross referencing. Oh, it was just seeing it all happen like right there and then everyone talking about the challenges around all that and then the surveyors coming in afterwards and, you know, the things get ripped away. I mean, there was a lot of layers to all of it. It was really helpful to see the whole process. Yeah, and it was a very small group, so it was
Oh, I would
very
love to do
interactive.
that,
It was
yeah.
really, and
That'd be
Earth Tones is great. That was a really nice nursery site too. It's
Yeah.
like tucked away in Woodbury somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but just all these, that was really cute.
Yeah.
Plants.
Yeah, always play. I loved it.
Alright.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you. Then high on our agenda is public comment. We open the floor again to the public. Make any comments, ask, they may be brief and not relate to agenda items. You know, So next item on the agenda is adjournment. Anyone want a motion?
I move that we adjourn this regularly scheduled meeting.
I will second that.
Great. Motion's made and seconded to adjourn. Any other comments or questions? Other than happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Enjoy your holiday.
I hope, everyone's travels, if they've got